Hi everybody, welcome to my channel. Today we are going to make some Christmas ornaments that have some attitude. But that's not all. They also are double-sided and texturized. So let's get started. These are wooden coasters that I got off Amazon, and I drilled a hole in them to turn them into ornaments. These, I got 100 of them for $25, which was a great deal. So I'll be making lots of them. So first up, I am giving both sides a coat of white gesso just to prime it and prepare it for whatever I am going to do to it. I like to have a lot of this done ahead of time so then I can just proceed to the fun part of decorating them. Now you could turn this into a coaster. It just wouldn't be double-sided. So once it's completely dry, I am going to texturize one side, and I'm going to use a variety of my TCW stencils. I will put the names of these in the description box, and there is a link where you can get them from NINNYSNAPKINS or you can get them from TCW. So be sure to check the more arrow. So these are the four kind of all over pattern, and now I can use, and I use some of it, I use my TCW modeling paste, but you can use spackle, regular wall compound that you feel cracks in the wall. It works really well. So, you know, depending on what you have. And my favorite application tool, the key card. So I'm going to do a couple of them with the modeling paste and a couple of them with the spackle. When I've used the spackle, you really can't tell any difference. They have lasted as well as the modeling paste, and for this application. Now this makes great gifts. You put this as a tag on a Christmas present, but it also works well for craft fair. So if you're somebody who sells things at a craft fair, these would be real winners. So I'm putting on the modeling paste, and then I'm just making sure that the hole is not filled with the modeling paste or the spackle. So again, if I was doing this for a craft fair, I would do several with the same stencil, and then I throw these in the bin. And that's really important, whether you're using the spackle or you're using modeling paste. You need to, once you're done with it, get that stuff off of the stencils or it will wreck them. So be mindful of that. I have a tub of water and I just throw them in there, and then I can scrub them off. I typically remove as much of the spackle or modeling paste first because I'm careful that this doesn't go down the drain. So again, if you were doing it for a craft fair or making a lot of them, I would do all the gessoing, then I would do all the modeling paste and let that dry, and then you can work on everything else in kind of assembly line fashion. Don't worry about the stuff that goes over the edges. You can wipe it off here, or you can just sand it off once it's dry. This one's called Leafy Ferns. Turns out really pretty, and it's really hard for you to tell because it's white modeling paste or spackle on top of white gesso. But it's adding some really nice texture. And you know, you're making ornaments and you're doing them double-sided. It's almost double the work, but the workmanship, people appreciate the extra value that's there. So once it's dry, we are going to colorize it. So here I am using bright orange and deep violet, and that is a favorite color combo. Now warning, I do run into some difficulties with the colorization, and you're going to see that. I've left all that footage in because, well, you know what? It's part of the process. No, it isn't always a straight line, and sometimes you end up having to put a coat of gesso. What I should have done here is put a coat of the orange and then done the deep violet on top, then that would bring out the texture. Here I'm just filling in some of the white areas, but if you like the white that's showing, if you like that look, leave it. Now I'm using cobalt blue and green, bright green yellow. And that swirl pattern, I absolutely love that. And you will see that again. That's one of the TCW's latest. And I'm working it wet on wet. Here is bright aqua and quinacridone magenta. And again, as I work through this process, I remembered basically what I would have done is put the lighter color and then use the darker color on top, wet on wet, to bring out the texture. Here I am using Naples yellow and Prussian blue, and together those make a beautiful teal. Now my plan at this stage was to, whatever I put on the other side needed to coordinate with this side, to have some of the same pattern and some of the same colors. Now here I'm taking black on a foam and rubbing it over the high points. And on this one, it works. But on some of the others, as you're going to see, it made it very, very dark, which wasn't a problem or a mistake. It just wasn't what I had in mind, because I wanted these to be bright and vibrant. And I'm also edging the sides black at the same time here. But so this is the way you would bring out the texture. And if you get some in the wrong place, you can use a baby wipe and get it off, because everything underneath is permanent. See, this one got very, very dark. And if it was an art journal page or something else, or I didn't want to go so bright and vibrant, it wouldn't be a problem. But as I said, I've left in the footage of the mistake, or what I'm calling a mistake because it's not what I wanted, and how I fix it. Here I apply gold on this one, and I love, love, love the look, but not for what I was doing today. So gold, you can add that gold and it makes it beautiful, but, well, you'll see what I do. Here I'm adding more gold, and this is just getting, I'm not happy at this time. So I painted that one all light aqua, and I'm going in with the cobalt blue on top to bring out the texture. And now I'm happy. It's always a journey. But let it dry. If you don't like it, let it dry. Put a coat of gesso or just another coat of paint, depending on what's going on. So that one, there we go. Everything's fixed with a coat of gesso, but I did put it in the back of my head, that color combo with the gold, because I will use that in a different application. So here I've put a coat of gesso on both of these, taken it back to square one pretty much, and now we reapply. This one I'm using cadmium yellow and orange. I went for brighter and lighter. And then I'm taking the orange, and I actually come back with, I think, quinacridone magenta and go over that. So instead of going with black, I've used a darker color that works well. Here I'm putting purple. And then blackening the edges. So now let's go to the other side. I want to bring some of the elements from the other side, but I also want to basically do what I would do on an art journal page here. So I'm stamping it with some script. At this stage, I don't know how much of that's going to show in the end. And then I'm using the same colors that were on the front, on the back. Remember, this is the two sides of the same ornament, so I want some cohesiveness. Wiping that back. I'm thinking that some of that script is a little too forward, so I'm just taking some gesso and knocking it back a little bit, softening it, because I don't want it so bold. So I'm using the same stencil that was on the front on this side. Well, actually, this is the front, but I don't want any texture on this one. Now you could, if you wanted to, with this ornament, you could put the modeling paste on both sides, two different texture patterns or the same pattern, and then just have the ornament being a texturized ornament. And I'm just edging this side on black as well and trying to decide where I want to go with it. I really had no definite plan. I'm adding some more stamping. I think this is a crosshatch stamp. And then I'm using some white gesso. I'm brayering on top of my dot stamp here, one of my favorites. And that lightens it and brightens it and makes it vibrant. And I'm going for vibrant and poppy. I want this to be kind of, I'm using my sassy sentiments, and I want, you know, that to be reflected in the colors. So here I've used the orange and quinacridone magenta, and I've kind of done an ombre look here. I just want to blend that in so it's a bit of an ombre. I find as you go, you're going to get more creative and try different things. And if you like what you do, then you can repeat it on the next one, or if you're doing multiple makes. Here I'm using that same crosshatch, but I'm using white. So if I wanted to sell these as a set, they kind of go together as well. And this time I'm doing the dots with the black. So same, but different. Now I just want to add pattern. And as you might have noticed, the order that I'm putting these stamps and stenciling in might be different. And that's going to give a slightly different look. Whatever's on top is going to be most showy. But this one I really, really like. I'm liking them. I like the front. I like the back. Here I'm taking the quinacridone magenta I have out and going over top, and it really makes that modeling paste, the texture, stand out. Love, love, love it. And then I figure I want some quinacridone magenta on the front. Remember, I'm working the front and the back together. So I want the same colors, the same feel. And I'm always cleaning my stamps in between, getting that acrylic paint off. So here I realize I need to knock back that script, so I'm putting the gesso first. It just softens it. Some will peek through, just little bits, and I love that. Here's the bright aqua. I'm using my finger, I'm using a makeup sponge, I'm using a brush. And again, I'm going to get that ombre look here. Here's the Prussian blue. I'm just going to meld that in together. And then applying the same stenciling that's on the front on the back, or vice versa, that's on the back onto the front. So once my backgrounds were all done, I got out my Julie Nutting dolls. I have these pre-stamped and a stash of them. Some of them are even pre-cut, and I'm going to put them on because these girls are what they're going to do the sassy talk. They're going to show us the attitude. So this is my Sassy Sayings Sentiment Pack, and that's available at Ninny's Napkins. For purchase, it's a digital download, so you can size them for whatever project you want. You can make them bigger for an art journal page, or you can make them smaller for something like a coaster or these ornaments. These make a really nice addition to a gift. Put it as a gift tag, and then they use it as an ornament. If they want, they could put a magnet on it, but then again, you don't need to double-side it if that's the case, if you want to turn it into a fridge magnet. But I like the idea of the ornament because you have it, and then at the end of the Christmas season, you pack it away and you don't have to deal with it. But then you bring it out and you get to have the memories. So now I am just painting them, and I want the hair to pop, and I'm going to paint the dresses in colors that go with the background. And typically that means either colors that are across the color wheel or colors that are right beside. This one's going to be a redhead because I like the red against that dark teal blue. Here I went the teal on that pinkish orange background. And here I'm going to go with the dark blue that really matches the background. But most of that dress is going to be on the greener part, so it really goes. I just kind of want putting some of that crisscross stamp on the dress just to make it a little more interesting. It just looked a little too plain. On the blue, I'm going with the orange-red color. And then I'm gluing everything down with fluid matte medium. You could use gel medium, and I probably should have because the paper that the Julie Nutting dolls are out of are a little bit more thicker, but I made the fluid matte medium work. So again, with assembly line, just colorize all the girls, cut out all the sentiments, glue everything down. It makes it go faster, less cleanup, and especially if you're doing it for craft fairs, you don't want to put so much work into it. You want to cut time wherever you can. These sentiments are great. All my digital sentiments, you can resize them using the settings on your printer. You can print them on sticker paper and make it super easy to utilize. So then I am just turning it over, and once it's dry, cutting off with my X-Acto knife, being careful not to get cut into the wood. But if you do, you can go back and put a little paint, black paint on it and cover it up. I just realized that she's got some legs here that I haven't colorized. I'm really liking how they turned out with the bright. I know the texturized side gave me a bit of a run, but now I'm just making sure that the Julie Nutting doll right on the edge is completely adhered down. Especially if you're selling it, you want this to be higher quality and take care of those little details. Here I'm just re-edging, especially that white part where the dress meets the edge of the coaster. The blending foam, that's just a Ranger blending foam, but I've put Velcro on an old school stamp. I used to teach, so I had a lot of stamps, you know, and I just took off the stamp part and put a piece of Velcro, and then I can use it with my blending foams. So there's a hack for you. Now I'm just using my angle brush and either some brown or black paint and adding some highlights and lowlights, or you just shading, making it pop a little bit more. Grab my Posca pen and I'm just outlining the sentiments. I like this. I like it. I think it makes it make it stand out better. But again, any step that I do, if that's not you or you don't like that, you can skip it or substitute something else. These are ideas that you can build on. I try to streamline it and give you tips and tricks along the way, but just here's one, the Posca pan. Did you know that if you make a mistake, you have some opportunity, some time in order to grab a baby wipe, wipe it off, and redo it? Here I'm adding some faux stitching using my fine line applicator bottle. This is just Liquitex Basics paint, white in this case, that I've thinned down to a consistency that comes out well. There's no recipe to it. I love using this to add little details to my projects. I like the faux stitching, so I've done a couple with white and a couple with the black. You could use gold or any color. One tip with the applicator bottle, I do not fill it with paint. I put probably a third. I only fill it about a third. It lasts a long time. And then I'm just splattering with gold using my fan brush, which is my favorite way to splatter. And there we have the finished project. I put some jute hangers on there that coordinated with it, and as you can see, it's got some shine. I've given it a coat this side of polyacrylic, Minwax polyacrylic in a clear satin. I love that shine. It seals everything and protects it. And then on the other side, can you see that glitter? I've used this sparkling glitter glaze. This one's from Polyvine, but I will link other ones that they have the glitter suspended in the medium, and then you're not dealing with the glitter, but I think it just adds so much. So there we have our coordinating and texturized Christmas ornaments that have a little bit of attitude. Do you have somebody that you would give these to? If you have a question, a comment, please leave it in the comment section below. Until next time, go get creative.